The cold breath of dawn hit my face as I cracked open my eyes. Pale light streamed through the gap in the curtain, making dust motes dance in the air. For a moment I thought it was peaceful, then I remembered, I don't belong. I could hear my family laughing in the kitchen, sharing jokes around the breakfast table. Me? I wasn't invited. Walking to school, it felt like my heart was being pounded with a sledgehammer. The halls were packed with faces that didn't know my name, all of them laughing at something I'd never see. I wanted so badly to pull my guitar from my bag, but the thought, what if someone sees me, always came first. I forced down the buzz in my fingertips with a deep, shaky breath. Clinging to some leftover hope from last night, I dug out my dad's old cassette player. The vibration of the strings warmed up the frozen kid inside me. And then I saw Trent and his crew, lying in wait around the corner. The world snapped in two the moment they shoved me, then kicked the neck of my guitar from under me. My chest constricted, like every breath was stolen. I swallowed the scream by clenching my teeth, the strings choked, the wood cracked, and my world shattered. I didn't let my knees give out. I watched the broken guitar lie on the floor while anger curled around my heart. I told myself, this doesn't end here. In that instant, my loneliness turned into deep water. I was drowning, but I filled my lungs with vengeance instead. Every insult, every shove, every mocking laugh etched into my memory. Now, this broken guitar neck feels like a weight in my hand. But it's also a spark. Walking home, my steps are silent, but my thoughts are deafening. How do I stand back up? Who can I trust? And most importantly, how do I make them stay with me? In part 2, you'll see the dark corners I slipped into and the plan I forged. Be ready to come back. Midnight finds me still awake, the only light in my room stubbornly burning. When I open my eyes, the day's exhaustion clings to my face, and the ache of that shattered guitar still sits heavy in my chest. I push myself up and scan the dusty books on my desk. At the very bottom, I spot a battered novel whose title is barely legible, Cold Justice. A story of revenge. My emptiness begins to fill with purpose. I flip to the first page and read the protagonist's darkest moments, his rage, his plan. My heartbeat spikes. This is my book, I whisper. I will study every line and make it my own. The formula is simple: strike your enemies where they're weakest. Morning comes, and I walk the same corridors. See the same sneers. But now I'm different. A steel-cold resolve courses through me as I track Trent's every move. Between classes, I fix my gaze on him, watching for the slightest tell, a flick of his hand, a bead of sweat, any sign of vulnerability. At lunch, I follow him to the backyard and glimpse the stash of cigarettes he hides in the bushes. In that moment, I remember the shy kid he once was. Was he ever that brave? He's forgotten that one mistake can cost you everything. On the walk home, I cradle Cold Justice against my chest, my mind racing with ideas. I pull out my notebook and write the first draft of my plan, gather intel quietly, then strike without warning. There's no room for fear, only the hunger for reckoning. Once I step through the front door, I don't spare my family a glance. I head straight to my room, sit beside the broken guitar neck, and open the novel again. With every word I jot notes: Phase 1, earn trust; Phase 2, plant the bait; Phase 3, deliver the blow. When night falls, the only glow in my room comes from the screen of my laptop. I close Cold Justice on the desk and open my notebook. Page after page fills with lines: Trent's daily routine, his weak moments, the names of friends he trusts most. Every detail is another brick in my plan's foundation. The next morning, I step through the school gates wearing a face of steel, no sign of the boy they used to push around. Between classes, I slip out my phone and create a burner profile, then dive into Trent's social feeds. I harvest every private photo, every careless post, every message he thought was secret. 50 questions float in my head: how will I use them? Each one becomes a bullet I load. ready to fire at the precise moment. At lunch I wait in the back courtyard until Trent settles onto a bench. Heart pounding, I slide forward and accidentally drop a scrap of paper at his feet, one of my innocuous notes. He glances up, confused, then smirks and tucks the paper in his pocket. The smallest exchange, but for me, it's a handshake in the shadows. Phase 1 begins. I've made contact. That evening, I shut myself in my room and channel every ounce of my loneliness into action. Cold justice lies open beside me as I map Trent's network on a whiteboard, color-coding vulnerabilities. The goal is clear: earn his trust, draw him in, then deliver the knockout blow before he ever sees it coming. I test responses with fake messages, planting seeds of camaraderie. I laugh at jokes he posts online, comment on a shared music taste, drop hints that we have something in common. With each small victory, a like, a private chat, I remind myself, this is war by other means. Midnight approaches, and all the evidence I planted becomes my weapon. The weekend prom has the whole town buzzing, and it's my perfect stage. The next afternoon in the cafeteria, I spot Trent in high spirits, laughing, shaking hands, drawing in every wannabe friend. I stick to the plan. Slipping through the committee volunteers, I happen upon their guest list, feigning surprise when I find his name. "Hey, thought you'd want one of these," I say, handing him a fake VIP pass. He doesn't suspect a thing. When he clips it around his neck, the trusting glow in his eyes ignites something cold and fierce inside me. When the hall fills with music later that night, Trent catches my eye from across the dance floor. I walk over with measured steps. "Thanks," he murmurs. "This'll definitely help." I smile and reply, "Anytime." I'm steps ahead now, only one move remains: trigger the trap. The USB drive full of his secrets lies hidden in my pocket like a loaded gun. I wait for the signal. As the DJ dims the lights and cues the slow dance, my pulse races. This is the moment of fracture, when trust shatters and vengeance strikes. Dawn's first light slipped through the prom hall's windows as I felt the USB drive burn in my pocket, poised for the final strike. I'd spent the night wide-eyed, every nerve sharpened, rehearsing the last phase, hit them when they felt safest. By afternoon, I forced my attention through classes, my mind looping the play one last time. When evening came, the crowd swayed to the music, boundaries already blurred. Trent, proud of his VIP status, strutted through the throng as if he owned the night. I stayed at the edge of the dance floor, eyes on the DJ booth. Then the music stopped. A beat of silence, my signal. Slipping through the dancers, I reached the DJ's back panel and, unseen, plugged in my drive. Seconds later, the announcer's voice boomed, "I have a very special announcement." The projector flickered to life, unleashing Trent's private messages, humiliating voice memos, and stolen photos across the giant screen. Gasps rippled through the room, shock pinned every face in place. I slipped outside amid the rising murmurs, anger, confusion, betrayal buzzing behind me. The night air was cool on my skin, and I breathed it in like a victor. A weight lifted from my chest even as satisfaction settled in. My plan had worked, my revenge served. The next morning, I walked the school halls unafraid. Whispers chased me down corridors, Trent's reputation in tatters, but I stood tall. My family's eyes held a new, silent respect. I still had no real friends, but I wasn't alone. I'd reclaimed my power. Later, I opened my guitar case and lifted the broken neck. Fingertips traced the cracks like old scars. That broken wood was once my burden, now it was a memory. I whispered farewell to the boy I used to be and welcomed whoever I would become next. Revenge was complete, but this was only the prologue to my new life.